driving truck my whole life, you know. So started Hell Bent Xpress just kind of on a whim, you know, as most drivers do. They get a little enthusiastic about trucking and they want to buy their own truck and do their own thing, and just kind of grew from there.
Welcome to Beyond the Bulldog, presented by Mack Trucks. I'm your host, Brian Wright. What you can expect from Beyond the Bulldog is to learn, enjoy, and participate from the comfort of your seat, whether on the road or off. You'll engage in topics and stories from people that work throughout the trucking industry. This is mile marker 26. Today we speak with Jamie Hagen, owner of Hell Bent Xpress and a social media personality with a love for Mack Trucks. During this conversation, you'll hear about Jamie's road to trucking with his dad and uncle, how his fuel efficiency is 25% better than the national average, and what he thinks about his all-new Mack, the Pure Profit Pioneer.
You're listening to Beyond the Bulldog, presented by Mack Trucks.
Welcome to Beyond the Bulldog.
How's it going?
It's going well. Jamie, so you are the owner of Hell Bent Xpress. You are a podcast participant, social media influencer, and as I see here, an orange pearl metallic, Pure Profit Pioneer owner for Mack Trucks.
And don't forget all around good guy.
And there's, of course, that as well. So if you will, for those people watching and listening, introduce yourself. Tell us what you do and how long you've been doing that.
I'm pretty sure you just introduced me.
I did. We have this really good dry sense of humor. This is going to be good.
Right. You know, I'm just a guy, you know, a truck driver who decided to, you know, pour his heart out into social media, and it you know, that kind of came back to him, I guess you could say. But yeah, I driving truck my whole life, you know, so started Hell Bent Xpress just kind of on a whim, you know, as most drivers do. They get a little enthusiastic about trucking and they want to buy their own truck and do their own thing, and just kind of grew from there.
Yeah. Well, how did it get started? What got you into trucking?
My dad and my uncle, you know, so I kind of grew up in a truck. So I think my mom said I was 2 years old when I first went with my dad in a truck. So this would have been 1976, 77, in that era. Just out of diapers, you know, living with my dad in the truck. We'd run down to Oklahoma and back from the Dakotas.
Yeah.
And it just always stuck with me. So once I got to a certain age, just started driving trucks with my dad. He had a few trucks. So South Dakota didn't have a truck, you know, a CDL law at the time. This would have been in the early 90s here. So I drove for a few years within the state of South Dakota without a commercial driver's license.
Right.
Wasn't required. In 1992, they required it. I just happened to turn 18, and I got my CDL a week after my birthday.
Yeah.
So, and I've been driving truck literally ever since. It's the only thing I've ever really done.
So you were driving trucks before 18, before the license and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Nice. We had a good buddy of mine come in, and he drove for Walmart with his latest career, but he started driving school buses when he was in high school. And you start to think about, wow, the responsibility that ensues, right?
That had to be
You imagine?
school bus.
Yeah, you got everybody else. And thankfully, there wasn't like cell phones and all that social media going on at that time. That could be a mess, right?
Right.
Gotcha. So what was your first job?
Really, the first job was working for my dad, you know, on the farm, running the truck around, you know, a few odd jobs in there. But, I mean, it's always been trucking.
Yeah.
Struck out on my own when I turned 21 as soon as I could leave the state.
Yeah.
You know, decided, you know, maybe the old man, his ideas were different than mine, right? You know how that goes. So I struck out on my own and decided to buy a truck back in what has been 95, almost 96. Freightliner was giving away trucks. Yeah. You know, they would finance anybody, even a stupid farm kid with borrowed money for a down payment. They would still loan you money on a truck. So went out and bought my own truck and just started doing flatbed for a company called Smithway Motor Express, which is now Western Express. But did that for a few years and learned that trucking is more than just trucking. It's a business, and learned that you gotta treat it like a business.
So how did you track it? How did you measure what that was?
Oh, it came down to money. Like money's coming in, but if money isn't staying there, if it's moving out as fast as it comes in, it becomes an issue. I wasn't very good with math in school, and I definitely wasn't good with accounting, but I had to learn quickly. After about a year of being in business, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, like what's going on here? Let's start tracking some of this, and that's where the kind of the fever came from in my next generation of owning trucks.
Sure. So how long did you work for them?
I was leased to them for 3 years. When I finally decided I needed to, pull the pin, it wasn't working, sold the truck, and I started driving for a company called Cliff Viessmann Incorporated out of Gary, South Dakota.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Cliff.
Yeah.
Great company, and probably more than anything, they taught me that, a penny saved is a penny earned, So that's another place where I learned accounting and keeping track of the money.
Yeah.
But I was with them for 25 years. For 10 of those years, though, I was a leased operator. So,
Well, yeah, I did some kind of financial consulting on like utility and phone bills, as goofy as that may sound. But it's the same thing. If you save a penny, all of that penny you keep. If you earn a penny, then you've got taxes and other things that count against it. So the value of saving is huge.
Yeah, and that's where I got really passionate about saving money, because I realized that trucking is just a huge game of pennies. That's all it is. If you can save a penny here or a penny there, it multiplies by the year, and you got something at the end of it.
So did you play any sports or puzzles or things like that?
I wasn't a big sports guy.
Yeah.
Not so much when I was younger, so I didn't play any sports growing up. It was just all trucking, really.
Yeah.
And trucking's like a huge job, you know what I mean? It's not just 9 to 5. It was an all-day process. We were hauling hay, so like you'd go out into a field and it'd be way after dark before you ever got back, and and if the sun shined, you made hay when the sun was shining, so there's always work to do.
Yeah, and it's a lot different, as you were mentioning, than the 9 to 5. You've got a commitment, you've got your word, you've got to be reliable and make money at the same time, and that transcends your normal working hours. And there are a lot of things that are out there that you can't predict, from weather to traffic. Is your pickup going to be there when you arrive, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and that was the question that got me. I knew what my childhood's gone. It's all in trucking.
It is all in trucking. It's interesting. After doing a number of these podcasts, a lot of people are like, how did you get into trucking? It's family. It's generational.
Yeah.
And it's not just truck drivers, but we just had a director of safety, maintenance, and mechanics as well. So it's a really tight-knit community, too.
Logistics gets in your blood. You know what I mean? Some people can get turned off of it, sure, but I think most people, once they get a taste of it, they really start to love it.
All right, so you got your second opportunity. You're driving a truck. What kind of data were you managing at that time working for somebody else?
Well, even then, I was always thinking that I was going to buy another truck. I was going to get back into it, and I was going to give it another shot. So over those years, as being a company driver, I just saved when I could, came up with a better plan, and that was more to do with, just keeping track of the money first and foremost, but just seeing where you could shave. And being a leased operator, I had a set pay structure. Cliff Viessmann paid X amount per mile. And if I wanted to make more money than I did as a company driver, I had to save more than they could. So I had to outperform their trucks. So that's what really spurred it on for me, was to get better fuel economy, to optimize it, to get better. So that way I essentially gave myself a raise, if you will. But the only way I could do it is by, shaving pennies off the top.
Yeah.
So,
Playing a game.
Yeah.
Right? If
right,
you think about
100%.
that game mentality, how can you look at it in a way these days, there's games on phones and everywhere else. And if you just approach it in that, as opposed to, okay, I'm working, and just kind of back up and look at the numbers and the data and how do you streamline it, that can really be a fun way to approach it, I guess, and still be effective too.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it was for me. I mean, I'd sit down at the end of the month and I would go through and I'd be like, I could probably shave off just a little, you know what I mean? Just doing all the little things. And that's where the obsession kind of came from too, for fuel efficiency, because as you got a little better, you would say, man, what could I do to kind of plateaued here? So what more could I do? And that's when I started looking at equipment. I kind of ran out of Jamie performance.
Okay.
And now I needed equipment performance to get to the next level. So that's where it kind of started.
Yeah. And along the way, the little hurdles that you've overcome and succeeded, that's a big reward, not just financially, but, you're able to change your patterns to yield success too.
Yeah, I guess that's where the beginning of Hell Bent came from, right? Like,
Yeah. I guess so, right?
Determination, yeah. Like, and finding that little thing. And honestly, that's how I ended up switching to Mack Trucks, was because they would build the truck that I wanted.
Okay.
So I came to them with an idea, and they were the only ones that said, we can do that.
Cool.
We'll build that.
Yeah.
When I talk to other manufacturers, they're like, this is what we kind of sell. If you don't like it, here you go. But Mack was more than willing to give it to me just the way I wanted it.
Nice.
So,
Well, I've been with Mack almost, year and a half almost. And from kind of the car industry, you get a car, sedan, engine option, go have fun. And here we've got a dump truck that can be, a highway, and you've got, your highway truck that can be a straight truck, and multiple configurations in and out. Holy crap. It's just a lot to absorb when you're trying to present what these trucks are. So they were able to customize it for you based on what you're looking for.
yeah, and it was a huge process. I mean, dealers who are listening to this probably know that all too well. Sitting down and going through everything, there's just an endless number of options, like just even the stupid smallest things. Hey, there's 4 options for that. Which would you prefer? So it's a huge process. I learned a lot from that. What are we going on, 15 years now? Spec and Mack Trucks. So
Yeah.
I've learned a lot over these 15 years.
Wow. Today we highlight Project K9 Hero and their mission to serve those who protected our families, our communities, and our America. Project K9 Hero works to ensure the best quality of life for our nation's retired police and military working canines by providing assistance with medical costs, prescription food, rehabilitation, rehoming, and end-of-duty services. Since 2016, Project K9 Hero has cared for and supported over 350 retired service dogs, honoring their life-saving work and allowing them to live their best lives after serving our country. And now, Project K9 Hero is embarking on a new campaign to build a rehabilitation and rehoming center to help even more dogs after their military and police service. To learn more and to show your love to these American heroes, visit projectk9hero.org. That's project, the letter K, the number 9, hero.org. Join us as we support these canine heroes who have given so much to America. We're here with Jamie Hagen, Hell Bent Xpress, the owner, and a proud Mack man. Let's talk about some of the fuel economy stuff. Let's transition to that first, and then we're going to talk about your experience with Mack Trucks, your new one, your initial impressions after a couple thousand miles on it. But when it comes to fuel economy, what kind of truck do you spec? Where do you drive? What do you pull? Is it hilly? I mean, these are all factors that come into play.
Well, as it turns out, America is very vast and it has a lot of different terrain. So it comes down to the driver. They say is 30% of the fuel efficiency quotient, right? So as a driver, you got to learn how to do the things that matter the most. Coasting when you can, not going full throttle when you can avoid it. You know, all those little tiny things that sort of take time and patience. And then when it comes to the equipment, it's a whole balance. From the beginning of my first truck to now, those two, those, if you put them side by side, are not vastly different, but they're definitely different animals. Because Mack has evolved since then, but even my thoughts have, you know what I mean? Like I said, taken to the next level. There's got to be a way to make this truck RPMs go lower. You know what I mean? Like, so it's all kind of been a balancing act, and keeping track of it all. It's been a fun game, as we called it earlier. Trying to find that extra little percentage point here and there, and then you guys come along with the Pioneer and just blow out everything that I learned with the Pinnacle Legacy and the Anthem and all that hard work I put into massaging those trucks, and then you come out with this thing and just completely blow it away.
You're welcome. So are you a long haul driver? Do you go coast to coast from South Dakota?
We do all 48 states.
Yep.
I love that fact. You know, I was born and raised in Aberdeen, South Dakota. So like just on the farm.
Yeah.
I got to see a little bit of the country as a young man with my dad, but that was primarily just the little segment between Oklahoma and North Dakota. So when it came time to go over the road, to see the world, to me was just exciting. The very first time I went to Maine, you know, people, you think about that, you only see pictures. Pictures are good, but they don't do the world justice, you know, like seeing it in person is just so much. So I love driving all over this country and seeing all the things, you know. I love going back to South Dakota to the grasslands, the plains, but getting out there and seeing mountains and just crazy scenery is what it's about. So we do all 48 states, pulling a dry van currently. Did tank for 25 years there, but the van world kind of took off in 2020 with the the resurgence after COVID, and I kind of switched up. And that's when we decided to go from, at the time we had 3 trucks, and we bought a 4th and struck out Oz Hell Bent Xpress away from Cliff Eastman, and that's kind of where it took off. Like, I really fell in love with the trucking industry then, now that I could control more things of it, you know.
As you were growing, right, from one truck to multiples, was there kind of a sweet spot where you realized, wow, when it comes to revenue coming in, as well as the maintenance and, you know, the responsible side of owning a business, was there a specific number of trucks where you're like, okay, this really starts to make more sense?
None of it makes sense. No, I foolishly thought that the more trucks you added, the more money you made. But it actually, my cost per mile went up. So when you only have a couple of trucks, those are pretty easy to store somewhere, especially if you don't have trailers. You know, Cliff Eastman had their own trailers, so I didn't need a really big place to put those trucks. Well, now you start buying 53-foot van trailers, and you start having multiples. Where do you put all that? I didn't think about that. You know, now I have to pay for a parking spot, basically, or a shop in itself. So those kind of things kind of came along, and then, you know, you have to do everything the right way, you know, getting people health insurance and workers' comp and all these things that start to compound that you don't see. You know, when you're just the driver, you just see the truck and the driving. And then I wanted to learn what it was like to own a fleet, and now I know. It's vastly complicated, and it's multi-level. You know what I mean? There's a whole human quotient to the thing now. Like, you know, I always say trucking is more, it's a service. You're selling the driver. The driver is what you're selling, the service of that individual.
Right.
The truck is just the tool for him to use to get the job done.
How do you find drivers?
How do you find them?
Or where, I guess, is the magic question, right?
That's it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's very hard to find good people. You get plenty of applicants, but some of those people you don't want to work with, and that's the hard part. we put out the vibe, we put it out all over social media, and I try to talk to people, and half the guys that work for me are friends that I know from social media. We knew each other as drivers for years, and they all, these guys just eventually like, hey, man, do you have an opening? Like, they gave up their dream or their goal and came to work here. And I'd like to think we're all working towards a goal now. Like, we're all teamed up. Like, I love the team. That was the other thing that really surprised me was starting your own business and getting to choose your team, the people that you want to work with. And it's kind of exciting. I really enjoy it.
That is awesome, because at the end of the day, the delivery is your word. When you get an order to go from A to B with hey or whatever, that's your word. And if for whatever reason they're not there, you've kind of broken that promise.
Trucking was all about trust back in the day because there were no cell phones. Couldn't track anybody.
Yeah.
So you just gave a truck driver, here's A, here's B, and they just went and did it. And then eventually you got the paperwork in the mail that it was done. Or someone called in and said, hey, yeah, we did that. We finished it or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was a very, trusting process. Nowadays, it seems like there isn't a lot of trust, and they definitely track your every movement. And I say to people all the time, like, how did we ever get things done back in the 90s and the 80s when, you just did it?
Yeah.
So
there's a lot more technology these days.
Yeah.
Another question is, how does your mileage, your miles per gallon, fuel efficiency, compare to those that are working with you in your company?
Well,
you have competition, I'm sure.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I've got a few guys that have, they try. They definitely they come at me.
Try.
Yeah, they come at me. They come with the big guns. I guess it's just a different game when it's your money. You know what I mean? You really pour your heart into that.
Yeah.
And I've stacked the cards against them. I've got the most fuel efficient truck, so it's kind of hard to come at me with that. But I've got guys that we give away a bonus if you get the best fuel efficiency. And my wife, God bless her heart, said no one's ever going to win this if we don't take you out of the battle. So I'm no longer eligible to win my own money. So.
Well, good. Well, that's a great incentive.
Right.
When it comes to it, I was doing some math, all right? The industry average is around 7 miles per gallon.
Yeah.
And you're posting through social media 9s and 10s.
On a bad day.
On a bad day. And so I was conservative.
Right.
So if you're driving 100,000 miles a year, average at, 7 miles per gallon, if you're just at 9, that's $12,000 a year. It's $1,000 a month in savings.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a huge multiplier.
And, you give a bonus, to reward people for saving diesel. That's amazing, because obviously the business is going to benefit too.
Yeah. Yeah, we pass it along to our guys. If they achieve over 8 miles to the gallon, we give them 2 cents back, extra per mile. And then, like I said, then if they get the best fuel efficiency, they get a bonus at the end of the month as well. So, it's a win-win for both of us to try.
What's the biggest thing that you've been able to implement to help you save with the fuel efficiency?
Oh,
you already said it was the truck.
Right. I was going to say,
outside of the truck.
Really, the biggest thing is just trying to bring that culture, to get people to understand that's what we want to do here. You know what I mean? We want to save money when we can, no matter what it is, whether it's fuel or, anything, you know what I mean? Anything that they can control. So, that's the kind of the culture that we're trying to bring forth in the company. But to, talking guys out of other trucks, they get, I got one young guy, and he's always like, you should get a Peterbilt, and that. And I look at him and say, well, when it's your trucking company, you can buy that truck and spend your money on fuel. But meanwhile, I'm sure you still want a paycheck that's good. So let's keep going with Mack Trucks here. You know.
Yeah. So let's keep going. You've got some fuel efficiency. Now you've got a new Pioneer. The claim is 11% more fuel efficiency based on our testing compared to the legacy Anthem. Have you seen some numbers?
2 numbers. not enough to
Not
really
enough to-
gauge anything.
Got it. Yeah.
Left here with the truck last week.
Mm-hmm.
Did some optimization on it, a little tweaking here and there up at a guy's shop that I know up in Michigan, in an effort to get it even more efficient.
Like what kind of stuff?
Well, we always add the air dog system to the truck. So especially when you have a downsped truck like the Mack, it adds a little positive pressure to the fuel rail. So it picks up that turbo and that horsepower quicker at the bottom level. So it's a little easier to drive. It's not impossible to drive it without the air dog, but it makes life a little easier. Also helps on maintenance. It's taking all the air out of the fuel, which, air and injectors don't mix. They like fuel only.
Yeah.
So that helps with longevity and maintenance. Also with emissions, oddly enough, they did a study in it. It reduced emissions by 30%.
Really?
Yeah, it's kind of a huge thing. And then, of course, we do the bearing adjustment on the hubs with the Dr. Preload system, which just makes the truck roll super smooth and easy, which helps your roll window. We were talking earlier about how, with one of the other guys about EVs, and he was saying how the one garbage truck guy, he likes to plan his stops, like he likes to roll nice and smooth and let the regenerative braking work for it, and then glide off after he picks up the can. And I said, yeah, it's kind of like how I'm driving, and I look to see, well, I'm going to exit here or come to a stop. How far away can I let off the throttle and coast? And that's the beauty of the Pioneer, is so aerodynamic, and then you get that mechanical resistance out of there too.
Yeah.
It just rolls. You lose speed a little bit right at the very beginning, but then after that, it finds that window about 50 miles an hour. It'll go 3/4 of a mile at 50 miles an hour just rolling. So I love the thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? From that standpoint, you can just tell when I get some more miles on this thing, it's really gonna do a great job.
You'll definitely be paying attention. And speaking to the rolling, I don't know if you've played the game, but if you're going up a hill towards a stoplight or a stop sign, and you're not going all that fast, and you can just kind of coast and see if you can come to a stop at the point that you're doing, right?
Right.
But the rolling resistance, that's enormous, right? You take away that friction, let the thing run, it's going to help your efficiency too.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole goal, is to not use less horsepower to do the same amount of work. That's the goal. That's why it's so aerodynamic. And I know they've improved the engine and the transmission. That was one of the big things I noticed right away, was that transmission. I didn't think I'd notice it, but it's almost immediate when you get in the truck. It shifts so much faster and it's more confident. It's just instant boom. To me, it felt really kind of like some of these newer vehicles, these newer pickups with 10 speeds in them,
Yeah.
It felt really confident and fast. Not that the M-Drive was bad before, but it's just so much more improved. It is that alone. I mean, just if they would have just done that in the engine improvements, it would have been a great deal. But the fact that the truck is all new and there's not one thing similar from that in the Anthem is.
This Week in History.
This Week in History takes us to Halloween. Halloween's origins date back to the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain. This pagan religious festival marked the end of summer and the harvest and the beginning of the dark, cold winter. The Celts celebrated by burning huge sacred bonfires where people gathered. During the celebration, the Celts wore costumes, typically consisting of animal heads and skins. Samhain was eventually called All Hallows' Eve and eventually Halloween. Here's some trucking statistics around Halloween. Truckers transport over 600 million pounds of Halloween candy in America, with a value of $3.1 billion. The most popular chocolates transported by reefers are Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, peanut and plain M&Ms, and Kit Kat bars. Of the $3.1 billion of purchased candy, about $400 million of uneaten candy is transported by trash trucks to local landfills. Americans will also purchase over 1.3 billion pounds of pumpkins. of which approximately 1 billion pounds are also transported by waste companies to landfills. Spending on costumes is expected to reach $4.2 billion. 20% of those dollars are spent on costumes for our pets, and in our case, bulldogs.
This has been This Week in History.
We are here with Jamie Hagen, owner of Hell Bent Xpress, and we're talking about Mack Trucks. Let's back it up just a bit.
Okay.
What was your first experience with Mack Trucks? That was like, wow, this is cool.
Growing up in South Dakota, there was a Mack dealership, but there wasn't a lot of Macks on the road there. So I wasn't a big Mack guy growing up. I wasn't much of anything growing up as far as loyalty goes, you know what I mean? Like whatever my dad could afford, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a different kind of truck every week, you know. I learned how to drive on a 1978 Ford Louisville with an old Detroit engine in it, you know. Thing was loud and obnoxious and no air conditioning, you know what I mean? Just, you hated to drive it. But a great truck to learn to drive on, though, you know. It was very forgiving. I went to the Mid-America Truck Show. And I walked around and I said to myself, I'm going to spec this truck of my dreams, the one that I want to build. And I'm going to walk around every single one of these manufacturers and I'm going to talk to each one of them and get their opinion. And that's what I did for 3 days. I had long conversations with each manufacturer who had their engineers there. Great conversations with salespeople, all these things, and I got the very last one was Mack, and it was almost an afterthought. I'm like, well, let's see what these guys have. You know, they're the smallest guy in the game. You know, everybody wants a Packard truck. You know, and Volvo. I was already driving a Volvo. You know, so like there was some brand loyalty there, but still, I wanted this specific kind of truck. And when I walked into Mack and they, hey, we got a ride and drive. Would you want to run outside and drive it? And I thought, well, gosh, yeah, that would be great. I would love to know what this is like. And as soon as I got going down the road with it, I knew this was the truck that I wanted. It fit me so well. You know, if you remember the old Pinnacle Legacy, not only was it a beautiful truck that was just kind of had like a real Class 8 American feel to it. Just with all the switches in the dash and the way the cabin was and all that stuff, I just fell in love with it immediately. Yeah. And that's what got me hooked on Mack, really, to begin with.
Do you know how many Macks you've owned since that point?
Oh, I mean, it's not dozens, I guess. I'm, you know, for 12, 15, probably 18.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite been so far?
You know, that first truck's always going to live in my heart. I tried to buy it back from the guy that I sold it to.
Did you?
Yeah. And he sold it to somebody else.
Oh, darn.
Yeah, I got a choice word for that guy, wherever you are. No, I'm just kidding. It's business, right? But the guy that bought the truck reached back out to me through Facebook, and now him and I communicate, and I get to see the truck still.
Cool.
I love that truck because it was like everything that I ever wanted. You know what I mean? And I love the Anthem. I remember when the Anthem first came out, I thought that was just a huge leap forward.
Yeah.
Really passionate about that too. But this Pioneer, it kind of blows all of them out of the water. I mean, it even levels the competition out. You know what I mean? Like, I haven't driven a Freightliner in years. I haven't driven a Packard product in years. So I can only imagine what they are like. But this truck, you know, is just phenomenal. Ride quality is so off the chart. The driver amenities, the serviceability, like just getting to know the truck here in the last week, I'm like, well, let's see what this is like. So I pop the hood and I'm underneath there and I'm like, wow, like they've moved all of this out of the way. I can literally reach this now. And the chassis fairings, they remove with one hand, you know, so if, you know, you just grab, pops off, you can pick it right up, remove it. In 10 seconds, you have the whole side panel off and you have whole access to the frame. Like, how fantastic is that? And just how they arranged everything, like you can really tell they spent some time and thought this through. And I know when we first came here last fall, we were talking about that. And I got to meet the engineers that designed the Pioneer, and how they've been building the Pioneer since the beginning of the Anthem.
Yeah, and that's been like 8 years.
Yeah. So like this truck, you can tell they well, as the guy said, they scrapped everything and started all over and just poured endless amount of money, it seems like. I think they said, what was it, like $1 billion to develop the Pioneer? Yeah. So you can tell that. I mean, you can just, the minute you walk around this truck, you can tell they changed so much. And it is so, as a driver and an owner, as those two things together, I'm super passionate about it. I really am. I can't love the truck enough. Just spending the night in the truck the other night, and I was just thinking about how nice it is in the inside. All I kept thinking was like an RV. Right. This thing is literally an RV. It doesn't feel like a truck. It doesn't feel like a truck at all to me because it's so nice. Yeah. Not that the Anthem was horrible. It's just the level that the truck is at now is just so high. It's enjoyable.
How did you spec it? Oh, I'm not how, but what's in your truck?
It was me and Chuck sat down for hours.
You're playing, right?
No, I wanted obviously a fuel-efficient truck, so we went with a 6x2 truck. That in itself is a half a mile per gallon just for that one thing. How huge is that?
Right.
We definitely went through and added a bunch of creature comforts in the interior. That truck now has a key fob that, you push to start. I was learning all the features on that the other day. You can do a pre-trip from the key fob. You hit the button and all the lights go on in sequence to tell you if they work. You're able to do all these things remotely and quicker, faster. Like, it's amazing how more efficient, not even the fuel, but the truck itself, just making your time efficient. And I can only imagine, I haven't slept in it a lot, but just how more efficient it's going to make you as a human inside this truck, how rested you're going to be, how happy you're going to be in it. When I came back from here, we went to the big Mack launch, which was amazing. And, they had a situation there. They're like, hey, you guys, you fleet owners, do you want to buy this truck? Time to put in an order. And I'm like, I'm putting in an order. And I went back and talked to my wife, my business partner. And she's like, are you sure we want to do this? It's $1 million. And I said, once people get their hands on this truck, it's going to change everything. This is driver recruitment. That's what this thing is. Like, it is so beautiful on the inside and pleasurable and, all these things that you want out of a vehicle to live in,
Yeah, you're talking about your first truck,
Yeah.
No AC, right? You're bouncing around with hay in the back,
Right, now I have auto climate,
RV, right?
And I can hit a button and turn the auto climate on in the sleeper as well, it's just pure luxury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 6x2, so you've got the lift axle in the rear. I'm guessing it's full sleeper, high roof.
Yeah, all out.
Yep. Do you notice the difference inside, the width and the armrests and all that?
I think that has a bunch to do with the comfort level because it feels spacious. When you're in it, I'm 6 foot, so when I stand up, I can't touch the ceiling. I can stretch my hands out sideways now and not touch the sides. So it's so much more just spacious. That in itself lends itself. Of course, the windshield's so much further ahead too. So like just the whole cabin is just like this big luxury liner. It's like being in a Cadillac. You're just big long vehicle.
The visibility's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, huge windshield, huge door openings. That was one of my only complaints of Mack was the door opening was so small. Not a small guy. So I've always felt like I had to kind of squeeze in. Not that it was that small, but this thing, the whole side of the truck opens up. You get this spacious opening that looks like a minivan door. It's open so big, and you can just climb up in it. All the grab handles right there on the inside, keeping them, away from the snow and the warmth. And to me, it's just, I don't know. Driving all these years, all the odd equipment I've had to use, and I wanted to use the word crappy equipment, but growing up, using whatever they had left over to use, right? But now this thing, it almost feels unreal to drive it, really.
Mm-hmm. So did you use Truck Builder at all? Maybe
Well,
to play with your color?
Right, 100%. Like they're like, hey, Jamie, try out this. I was the first iteration of it when it was in the Anthem.
Yeah.
I used it a few times. And as soon as the Pioneer became available, I wanted to choose my colors.
Mm-hmm.
Wanted to go something different from our darkened silver metallic, which we called the Ghost Fleet, And now we're going with like a sunset, a Hell Bent sunset, we're going to call it, or you know what I mean, something like that, So I wanted something that really caught a person's eye. Not only the truck catches your eye because it's so futuristic looking, but I wanted the color to really shine.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, from a fleet standpoint, I wanted something that people would remember you by, 100%. So the Truck Builder, right?
Yeah, we were talking, we do the live tour here, and we did a walk around on one of the Pioneers, and they were like, we're going to get an orange truck, and asking them what they were most interested in. Well, we want a truck that gets good fuel economy because they go across the country. They wanted something that looked great because it represented their brand, and of course the safety features too. But it's funny you say that because standing out, that's your brand, right?
Yeah.
If you get recognized, people see you. You were actually talking about this prior to our conversation here about when you stop at a truck stop. What happens when you park your truck? People just gravitate to it, right?
Yeah, they see that new Pioneer, and I think the color catches your eye first, and then they notice that the truck is something they've never seen before.
And it's orange pearl metallic. Is that the proper name for it?
Amber orange.
Amber orange.
Yeah.
I missed that.
Pearl metallic, yeah.
Very good.
I had to look it up. It's four names,
Not a 4-letter. Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's great. That's good. So what are your goals with the Pioneer? Like, obviously, you liked Mack. You believed in the Pioneer when you came here. But, all right, so you're going to get, what, 5, I guess?
Yeah.
What are your goals? What's the plan for this truck in your business?
That's why I named it Pure Profit. Was my goal is to, come out of the other side. Trucks aren't cheap.
Mm-hmm.
And I want these to really maximize the effort. And that's why, we went full fuel efficiency and driver amenities, those things, to really drive that home.
Mm-hmm.
In today's world, I mean, every penny counts now more than ever.
Yeah.
Some of the hardest trucking I've ever done in my life financially. So it's we're focusing on that exclusively. So that's what we're hoping for.
What date are you most excited to kind of sink your teeth into as you start driving this more and more?
100% the fuel economy.
Yeah.
I want to watch that number for sure. A few of the guys from the sister company that I know, they keep pushing that out there that they're seeing better than 11%. So I'm hopeful that it could be even higher. So,
excellent.
And if it's just the 11, it pays for itself. I've done the math. If it's just the 11, it's golden. If it's more than that, well, now we're making money. It's pure profit.
Gotcha. So we're live with the dealers. What is your ideal dealer experience when you're gonna have these concepts of I'm gonna go buy a truck? What is it that you're looking for?
I was gonna say my dealer experience would be discounts. I'd like some discounts.
Everybody wants discounts, but when you get the best, right?
Right. Exactly. You got to pay for that.
Yeah, I mean, you could buy a Freightliner.
Well, I don't like waiting in lines. So that was one of the things, touching on the earlier subject, that really excited me about Mack. Looking at their dealership network is huge.
Mm-hmm.
It really is huge. And it is a lot of small dealerships. You got your big ones. You got your Vanguards and your Transource and your, Tech and all that. You've got big dealerships. But, man, there is a lot of small mom-and-pop dealerships in Mack yet. And that, to me, is exciting. You can stop into those places. They get you right in. There's no waiting in line. I hear horror stories of other guys with their Freightliners and their other trucks, and you drop the truck off and you come back next week. they squeeze it in eventually. To me, this is one of the reasons why I fell in love with Mack right out of the gate, was the fact that they had this great dealership network that was more personable. You know what I mean? Like, they were able to connect with you, so that's, and I've built a lot of great friendships. I know a lot of great dealerships across this country. And not that I needed to stop at any of them, but,
You're right. Every city. Yeah.
just every once in a while. But, I've really got a lot of great contacts over the years working with Mack. I think I've been kind of loosely affiliated with you guys for 4 or 5 years now. So, dealerships, working with them and getting to know them, and I love them. You know what I mean? Like, I've always looked at dealerships as a partnership.
Okay.
So I need to partner with them. They need to, they need me. I need them. Just like I need my customers, I need them to make sure my tool works, So to me, it was always best to have a relationship with them and work with them. And they'll be there for you when you need them the most. I've got a great relationship with my dealership back home. Can't brag about these guys enough. I know most of the mechanics. They see me come in, and they're like, it's Jamie. And, like, we've been doing business for so long. And they always seem to pour their heart into it, you know what I mean? And they get you right in. Maybe not all the time, you know what I mean? There is, sometimes there's someone else in the bay. But, but yeah, I have just a great working relationship with these guys.
So my experience here with Mack, on the corporate side, we go to conferences or meetings and, traditional businesses, you're shaking hands. Here they give hugs.
Yeah,
it's really kind of weird. It's this whole family environment, and they like to use the term Mack family, not just for the corporate side, but also with the dealers, the community of drivers, the people that are kind of vested in the brand because it's been around so much. So I guess that does connect, because there's that sense of pride in it.
Well, the company's been around 125 years.
It's true.
These dealerships have been around for a century, and longer. To me, it's just kind of hard to wrap your mind around some of this stuff, really. I'm 51 years old, so I'm not a young man, but still to think about a business being around that long and the generations that have moved through it. Just like some of these dealerships, can't think of the name of one that I'm thinking of off the top of my head, but they're a third generation.
Yeah.
Grandpa started it and moved through, each generation taking it over. And so they know, they've seen people come and go at Mack, and, everyone has these relationships that are, to me, that's half of it. You know what I mean? Half of the battle is they say trucking is all relationship based. So to have that kind of relationship with the dealership is fantastic. So
yeah. So it's generational, kind of like we talked about when we first started. Your dad and uncle introduced you to trucking.
Yeah.
And here we are talking about a new truck and how everybody's a family. It's about keeping your word, doing the right thing, delivering the goods that America wants. One happy family, right?
Right. That's what America was built on. That's the thing. You look at Mack, literally built America. They were part of the Industrial Revolution, a main sponsor of it, if you will.
Yeah.
Without them, where we would be,
Right.
So, and these dealerships too, you know what I mean? That's the thing. When we went to the 125th and then seeing dealerships that were around since then, and they're still here. It's crazy what they've gone through.
I couldn't imagine that.
Yeah.
I really wish I had a chance to go up to Brooklyn when they were having that big festival, because it looked neat. And when you come down to seeing the history, a guy started building buses in Brooklyn, turned into diesel trucks, and here we are. It is remarkable.
Yeah, it's very remarkable. And it's kind of where we're at now, if you think about it. I've always, the Pioneer really is going from horses. You know what I mean? I hate to say it like that, but I know people look at EVs as the new thing, but it's going to be hard to compete against a diesel-fired Pioneer for efficiency, and for the reduced emissions of it. This truck's going to be around for decades. That all-steel cab, you know what I mean? You can just tell the way it's built. These things are going to be around for a long, long, long time. People are going to be using them until the wheels fall off of them. So,
well, let's talk about the digital mirrors. I meant to ask you when we were talking about visibility, right? Because
let's get digital.
So did you buy the digital mirrors for the visibility or for the fuel efficiency? I
wanted it for both because I used them a few times on test Macks that we test drove, and I really liked the visibility of them, and I liked the idea that in bad weather they were more, they didn't glass up or fog up and get full of water and snow, specifically snow. In my part of the world, we get blizzards, so the mirrors get all packed full of snow, and you're out there scrape them off and everything. I'm like, man, this will be really cool. And there was the efficiency part. I wanted the more aerodynamic, so I definitely wanted to give them a try.
Yeah. Well, we're near the end of our conversation today. What would you like to contribute? What other things? That came out wrong, didn't it?
What would you like to contribute? I thought I contributed a lot.
That was a bad presenter question.
Yeah. No. I mean, it's. I've seen people come and go here at Mack. Staff has changed, but the attitude doesn't. The people are great. I love everything that they're doing, the way they're going about it. I love that, I was just watching a little bit of the dealership meeting and stuff and how continuous improvement, you know what I mean? That Kaizen attitude carries throughout. And as a guy who's always trying to be efficient and improve, that's what it's all about. And I've watched the truck continuously improve over this last 15 years. And each generation that comes out every couple of years, there's more improvements, there's more, so you can see it in the product. And to me, as an owner and a driver, it's a beautiful thing to see something really grow.
Yeah, and at this time in Mack, we released the 2 highway trucks, Pioneer and Anthem, and we've got more to come. It's a really revolutionary.
I saw a sneak preview.
Yeah. So next year we'll continue the excitement.
Yeah, I think that's really exciting. That new one.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I wish I could say more.
Right.
Jamie, thank you so much for your time, for advocating for Mack, because it delivers what you were looking for in a truck. And of course, we appreciate that tenfold, because a word from a customer, that's gold. So we want to thank you for that.
Well, I appreciate you having me here.
Thank you for tuning into Beyond the Bulldog with Jamie Hagen, owner of Hell Bent Xpress. Our podcast is centered around providing stories and content that keep you entertained and informed. Let us know what you think about this week's podcast and share ideas about what you want to hear and who you think would be a great guest. Please leave your suggestions in the comments section below.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and make sure to follow the Bulldog.